Hey everyone, welcome to Neil Talks. My name's Neil and it's time to talk Taskmaster. And welcome to what is definitely a bit of an experiment here on the channel. You're probably not new to the channel. You probably know that I have been reacting to Taskmaster since I started Neil Talks. I've reacted live to series 11 onwards. I've had so much fun with the show. It's one of my most popular, most engaging reactions. Thanks to all of you who check out all of those. I've explored Kongen Befaler, the Norwegian version. I've explored Taskmaster New Zealand. Taskmaster Australia is about to start, and I'll be reacting to that. But a little bit of backstory if you don't already know it. I've already talked about this. I learned about Taskmaster during lockdown. I discovered it by pure happenstance on YouTube one day, checked out an episode. I don't even know what series it was, but I got hooked by the entire concept of the show. The format was just something completely different and new. I really enjoyed it, and I binged everything that was on YouTube at the time in a matter of a couple of weeks. So that was series 1 through 8 and series 10. I watched it all, but this was before I started the channel. And so I never got to react to those live for the channel. And I also watched them all before I really... One of the best things about starting Neil Talks was I've really been able to take this deep dive into the British panel show scene, the British comedy scene, and I've learned about so many comedians that I had no idea about at all 2 years ago. And that was when I was watching Taskmaster. I knew none of the contestants. I had no context for who they are. I couldn't tell Bob Mortimer from the hole in the ground. I didn't know anybody. There might have been one or two faces that was vaguely familiar to me. I might have had a vague inkling that I had seen Richard Osman before on something, essentially they were all, everyone was a blank slate, and I had no context for any of them. I didn't know where they came from. I didn't know what they were known for. And so my attention was very much on the format of the show, on the tasks. The contestants were almost secondary because they were anonymous to me. And so my memories are, oh yeah, this task, not, oh, I remember how contestant X did this. But like I remember James Acaster really rubbing me the wrong way because he just seemed like this incredibly rude guy to Alex. But I had no context for what Acaster's act was like. I hadn't seen him in anything else. He just seemed like an angry young dude, and it wasn't appealing to me. I had no context. Do I remember these episodes? Do I remember? I think I'll remember the tasks more than I'll remember the contestants. So these are rewatches, if it's not already clear. I have seen these. I have seen season 1, but I only watched it the once. I watched it 2 years ago, and I didn't know who any of the contestants were. That's the TLDR version of what I've just been rambling about for the last couple of minutes. So I'm very excited to watch these again. There's going to be a lot, probably, if I'm to predict what these reactions are going to be like, there's going to be like, oh yeah, I remember this moment. But I'm really looking forward to seeing this through the filter of now knowing most of the contestants. I will admit, for instance, I still really haven't seen Frank Skinner in anything other than this. He may have popped up on an appearance, an episode of Would I Lie to You or QI, maybe once. But I'm really spending a lot of time here just couching expectations, I suppose. Which is bad promotional skills on my part. I should be getting you guys excited for this, not like warning you that this isn't going to be normal. But I just don't want there to be any misconceptions. I don't want a ton of comments going, this isn't a real reaction. And hey guys, guess what? You can react to something more than once. This is not a first time watching. This is, I'm I'm not going to be hiding that. I'm not going to be pretending that it is. But it's still going to be an honest reaction. So I'm curious to see what it's going to be like. I know we're going to have a lot of fun with these episodes, but here's how vague my recollections of the early series of Taskmaster are. I'm not going to remember which contestants were together on the same series. I'm not going to remember that, oh, this is the series with that particular task. It's all a vague homogeneous memory. My initial exposure to this show. So that's enough of me lowering expectations, I suppose. Now I'm really excited to get into it. This is the very first episode of Taskmaster. Episode 1, Series 1, Melon Buffet.
In this show, I, Greg Davies, make some accomplished but needy comedians do stupid things for me. Why? Because I can. I'm a powerful man. Look at me. Thank you. The contestants will definitely respect me. Let's meet them now. First,
he's standing.
He's wearing a suit because he's both professional
and he doesn't look a year younger.
Frank Skinner. Josh Widdicombe. Roisin Conaty. Romesh Ranganathan. Tim Kay.
Nice. Familiar faces.
Should we have a little bit of banter?
Okay. Oh. So, thanks for giving me this opportunity.
You're welcome.
Tonight, you've asked them to bring in their most unusual item.
I have brought in a pair of grape scissors. And when I first saw them, I thought they were emerald tweezers, but no.
Has anyone in this room ever heard of grape cutters before? Yeah? Oh, doesn't sound that unusual, Frank.
I brought in a football signed by the Plymouth Argyle squad that lost in the Division 2 1994 playoff semi-finals.
Did they use invisible ink? It's the most unusual signed football I've ever seen.
I found this old tramp poet and he carves on benches, and I found him sitting next to the bench that he just carved into.
That is from a trip that Roisin and I had to the seaside recently, where I paid for lunch and the petrol.
You didn't pay for lunch?
Yeah, I did.
You let a tramp pay for your lunch? I've brought in a snow globe that features my children photoshopped as little Santas. I think we can all agree it's the shittest present in the history of mankind.
A snow globe isn't an unusual item, but your fury is.
Yeah, but snow globes featuring my 3 children, to this only 250, 300.
Tim Key, what did you bring in?
Reindeer skull.
That, my friends, is how to play this game. The winner of round 1, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tim Key. The football was so bad, I have to put. It's an unsigned football, Josh.
I brought in a signed football. You've rubbed off the signatures and put me last.
On with the next task, the first task proper.
Well, the first look at the house. No cow, no knight, no dome. Are we going straight to the melon task? Look how empty the room is.
Eat as much watermelon as possible.
You have 1 minute.
Well, OK, so I'm worried I'm going to get in there and there's going to be a watermelon sitting on a table.
Yeah.
So I need some kind of carving knife.
He's not racing. I mean, like, he's taking big spoonfuls, but...
I mean, I don't know how you do better than that. I thought I'd done well. I'll be honest with you, I think you've slowed down the footage.
In 1 minute, you ate 218 grams of watermelon. That's the equivalent of 10
half a
mice.
pound. He's not going any faster, but he's getting more cheers just because he's using his hands.
Yeah, well, I'd forgotten my watermelon scissors.
My feeling is that Frank probably gobbled a lot more melon than Josh Widdicombe.
No, not at all. No, he ate 179 grams. That's the equivalent of 9 mice or 10 smaller mice, but less.
Not urgent.
Oh, a knife? Can I go and get? Should I go get it?
I would.
Tick, 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 tick.
No.
36 seconds, Roisin.
Oh God. Bigger one, a bigger one.
This is so pathetic. She's not going to get a single bite.
Such a shame.
Oh. How pathetic. Don't spit it out.
I've got so many questions. Yet your reaction to seeing a melon on the table was, oh, oh, clever twist.
I thought it was going to be like a massive bowl of melon and just keep eating. Like a melon buffet. So when I thought it was like
A melon buffet, that's not a thing!
I don't want to be negative, but I have eaten that much melon by walking past a fruit stand.
She ate 1 Rolo, 9 grams.
Lovely.
9 grams. Brutal. Just on the floor. Oh, this is such classic. Oh, Romesh.
If I throw up, would you weigh it?
Oh. Oh.
You're fine.
Oh. Oh, I forgot how painful it was to watch Romesh in this. Oh.
Why did you throw it on the floor?
Well, I knew it wasn't going to be like a melon buffet. In my head, it was like rock hard. And then when I threw it, I was like, holy shit, that is... Genuinely thought I was going to die. Like...
My instinct is that Tim Key probably gobbled the most melon there because of the vomiting.
I asked whether it counts if you vomit, do you weigh the vomit? And you said no.
I think when the whistle goes, if the melon's still inside you, it counts.
Oh, thank God for that. Because I think I produced more melon than I ate.
Tim ate 302 grams of watermelon in 1 minute, and Romesh ate 301 grams.
Really?
A bit of dodgy business with Tim. If you just want to have a look at this.
Ah. Oh dear, oh dear.
Son of a bitch!
I love melon.
How could you possibly, at the end of that task, go, do you know what I fancy?
It would put Romesh in the lead. That's up to you, though.
What I find very difficult about it
Romesh
is
has to win.
I'm
if
pretty sure
the
that Tim
vomit
winked
counts.
at us as he left.
So if it was a wink, it was a bad wink.
I'm taking 9 grams off you. The winner is Romesh Ranganathan, ladies and gentlemen.
I forgot that Tim's a cheater.
Paint the best picture of a horse.
Boss riding a horse.
I've never ridden a horse before.
I remember this task, but I don't remember how it went at all.
So I'm going to ask you, Greg, to judge the paintings just on gut reactions before you know who's painted which paintings.
This is the way I see it. Bottom right is clearly the best picture of the horse. Would you all agree with me?
Yeah.
That's second.
Top right's getting a little
Top
boned
three
at this point.
are absolutely shit.
Top left is terrible. It's an anteater.
Picture of a giant mouse. That is one of the worst paintings I've ever seen in my life. In fact, it's genuinely infuriated me.
So yeah, Tim Key painted the worst one. Frank Skinner painted the best one. But I think it's probably worth you watching how they painted it. You may want to change your mind, Greg.
Oh my word.
Oh, blimey.
Slow down. Slow down. Shut up.
I feel like I'd be getting dizzy the whole frickin' time. They've gotten better at GoPro placement since Series 1, let me say that.
How do you make brown? How do you think? Blue?
I think they do this with a helmet-mounted camera now.
Roisin is conspicuous by her absence so far. That obviously means she's either done incredibly well or incredibly badly. We'll come on to that.
I think I remember she refused to ride the horse or something, didn't she?
And at the end of that, I thought, you know what? I might start painting. And I went out and I actually bought some watercolours and stuff. And I'm less good not on a horse.
I quote, "How do you make brown?" Alex said, "How do you think?" And you said, "Blue."
Not very good at painting, never ridden a horse, and I guess I was sort of somewhere thinking anteaters.
I don't know if we'll get on it. I'll meet him, but I've met loads of horses. That's what I do. I meet the horse and I decide not to get on them.
Would you trust us if we came up with plan B?
What's plan B? I don't like plan B.
Did they know in advance that she wouldn't ride the horse? I also don't remember a contestant ever refusing to do a task after this.
I've never been on a horse. Met hundreds of horses around the world. And
All right, big shot.
it's what I do, Josh. Based on where my horse was at that window, my painting is actually quite good. All I had was his head.
It was easier. He was already framed.
I'm afraid you have to be disqualified from this round and take last place. Really?
0 points or 1
You
point?
don't think that's fair?
I'll go last place, but not disqualified. That's fair, right?
Okay, I'll go third.
Absolutely the last place for not actually painting a horse.
So she
whilst
gets her
on a
1
horse.
point.
And the winner of that task was Mr. Frank Skinner, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Crazy how undeveloped the house is. Oh, we don't even have the caravan. I forgot. The little shids there, though.
Completely empty, this bathtub.
Fastest wins. You must not remove the plug. This can't be the way to do it.
No.
Have you got a Hoover?
No.
Can you do that?
That's not
that's
going to be...
got death written all over it, hasn't it?
That's
I
going
know
to be
there's
so
that thing you can do with
terribly
petrol,
inefficient.
where you get the thing and you
Siphon
suck
it.
and then it keeps it going.
They siphoned it. You have to drink a certain amount of petrol to do it. Also,
They're good at siphoning in Norway. I don't remember them being successful here. Yeah, you gotta make that exit point lower than the water level.
No, I'm gonna go for it with a bucket.
Yeah, it's gonna be heavy.
This, you think it'd be quite a quick method.
You're moving 200 pounds of water in a garbage can. All right. I feel like you can tell the contestants aren't concerned about competing this season. Or at least I'm not seeing any sign of it yet.
Get the last,
Maybe they become more
three.
competitive in the later
I think
episodes.
You've got to say that's empty.
To successfully siphon, you have to do it a lot better than that. Just was.
Is that some research you've done
Yeah,
online?
they both did it very badly. Frank did it in 7 minutes and 42 seconds. Josh, 1 minute longer, 8 minutes and 52 seconds.
She can't open the door.
it with such conviction. No.
Look at the lack of urgency. Oh, this is frustrating. It's like she doesn't want to get wet at all. So
God.
little urgency.
That's really hurt my back. There's a bit left. I don't think I'm going to get it out.
Unimpressive.
Slower than Josh, but you didn't empty the bath in the end.
Did I?
Well, there was some water at the bottom.
There was a healthy meniscus. I can only imagine what these two animals, how they approach
Healthy
this.
meniscus. Savagery. That's one. See, that's the best bailing container so far by far. Okay, I take it back. Tim and Romesh are definitely competing.
Well,
Tim was the first person to kind of realize that you can ask for help.
Oh, good.
Get me a towel, please.
For who I presume is the inevitable winner, Mr. Tim Key. Incredible.
We know what's coming, though.
Good time.
So Romesh, you emptied the bathtub in 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Way
Quick.
faster.
Pretty incredible. Tim Key smashed that, surely.
Yes, he did. He emptied the bathtub in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So very good.
So nice to have a decisive winner in a round. I loved it.
We did spot, if you just have a look again, you can just see the plug, but it wasn't in all the time.
I didn't know that.
Well, you say that. I mean, we have got footage of you after the...
Well, you say that.
What have you picked up there, Tim?
Picked up. Sorry?
I was just wondering what you... Sorry.
You picked something up there,
Pick
right?
the plug up, mate. And you put it back in the bath.
You did
secretly.
do that, but you disguised your actions.
What? Of course, because it's cheating.
Yeah, cheated at the Melon, cheated at the tub.
What's the fair thing to do? I take him down 2 places, right?
It's up to you. It's up to you.
He took the plug
Shut
out.
up, Roche.
He took the plug out.
He took the plug out of the bath, and that's enough for you. You should go into last place.
Yeah.
Get all judgmental getting on your high horse.
You cheated.
Well, do you know what I'm going to do?
I'll tell you what, I'll do it for you.
I'm going to put him in last place. Judgment done. So the winner of that task is Romesh, ladies and gentlemen. Tim, will you cheat again?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, Tim.
Pop up a tent, get in the tent, zip up the tent, pop on a onesie in the tent, and emerge from the tent wearing the onesie. Fastest wins.
I mean, aren't we all going to get in each other's way?
Put them up in the
Yeah. All that you can do internally.
Zip at the front, please. Back a bit, back a bit, back a bit. Zip at the front, please. Zip at... You're not in it. You're not in it. Get in it.
What the hell? Romesh, come on!
You're not in it. You're not in it. I'm gonna get in the tent. He's been in there for hours.
He's been very still for a very...
Oh, Romesh is dying here. Romesh is just giving up. What the hell? I'm so...
It's as good as it's going to get.
I wonder how long that actually took live.
Magnificent performance from the obvious winner of that task, Mr. Tim Key, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a look at the final scores, Alex.
Here they are.
Oh, tiebreaker right off the top.
Okay, so this whole thing is going to be decided on a game of hide and seek.
I think so.
Yeah, that's about right.
Find Alex. Fastest
Alex.
wins.
Frank's gonna find him. He's gonna be indoors. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Is this live or is this concurrent?
I found Alex. I got it.
Oh, Frank Skinner wins.
I imagine you wish you'd honed your hide and seek skills more when you were a child.
My parents did lock me away and stuff.
Or had more urgency about getting in a onesie.
But on the plus side, I don't have that dog shit snow globe anymore, so...
So the winner of today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Frank Skinner. Well done.
In the actual theater. Ugh.
Good night.
It's kind of crazy. Series 1 was 2015, not that long ago. You know, not even 8 years probably from when this aired. But it feels like a different generation of the show almost. And yet, Greg doesn't look like he's changed in age a day. Josh Widdicombe looks the way he looks now. I thought he would have been the one that felt the youngest back in season 1. I knew he was in series 1, and it looks contemporary, but it feels like it's series 1, doesn't it? And yet so much of the show is already there just the way we know it. The pacing and the format of the show, the prize task, the 3 film tasks, the live task, the rhythm is all there, the pacing. We're already heading out on location to the horse farm in this series. I can't remember whether they do team tasks in these early series or not. I know we've only got 6 episodes instead of what we're used to now, the 10. So did they put together teams in these first series? I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing whether that happens. Certainly some iconic tasks, even in this, in literally the pilot. That Melon task is famous. I feel like there's some cheating compilations out there that heavily feature Tim Key. What I didn't remember is how much of a powerhouse Tim was and how much better he would have done if he didn't continually cheat. He lost, well, let's think, in the bathtub task, he lost 4 points and gave points to Frank, and to everybody else. Everybody else went up a point, plus he lost 4. So that's a 5-point swing with all his competition. And then he also cheated on the watermelon task, losing out on first place there, falling to second place. So that's a 2-point swing with Romesh again. And yet, so Romesh had a 7-point swing with Tim in this episode alone, strictly because of Tim's cheating. And yet neither of them won, even though I feel like they're the 2 strongest contestants. They're certainly the 2 most competitive contestants. I feel like Josh is just in it for a laugh, and Roisin doesn't seem to have any urgency whatsoever. She even has a reluctance to do some of the tasks. Like, she straight out refused to do the horse, which in my mind should have been a disqualification, but the last place instead, fair enough, I suppose. But you don't see that anymore. You don't see someone refusing to do the task. I don't even remember people quitting tasks. And I certainly don't remember anyone going, no, I'm not going to do that. Unless there's maybe I assume prior to doing the series, the producers ask the contestants, do you have any dietary or restrictions or allergies or anything? I can see that being the only valid reason to not do a task is I can't do that. I'm allergic to whatever you're paint with, do a self-portrait with peanut butter. Well, if you're allergic to peanuts, that's a bad task for you. But I don't see another valid reason for not participating. And so that immediately changes my view of Roisin as a contestant, as a guest. But it's also series 1. And so nobody knew what this show was going to be yet. Nobody knew whether this would just be a straight laugh, how much attention would be paid to the scores. I feel like in recent series, people have gotten more competitive, but that may just be a false impression. I think every series certainly has people who are more competitive than others. This series, it certainly feels like Romesh and Tim are the ones that are taking it most competitively, and I imagine it's going to come down to the 2 of them. I can't remember who won this series. These are the things that are a complete blur to me. But it'll be interesting to keep track of all of Tim's cheating losses and see whether that would have swung the series as a whole. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Now my question is, with the bathtub task, yes, he was aware that he knocked out the plug, but do we think he intentionally knocked it out or just let it be out when it was knocked out? If you know what I mean. I like to think the initial plug removal moment was accidental. I'm giving him a big benefit of the doubt here, But that whole rigmarole of finding it and surreptitiously replacing it at the end, super guilty. I feel like Greg, as Taskmaster, wasn't yet willing to give 0 points for a disqualification. It's early days. And he hasn't done that a whole lot in recent series, but he fully embraced the persona of the Taskmaster a couple of series in, and those punishments become a little stricter, I think. I mean, I'm not sure impressed is the right word, but it's notable how active the contestants are in negotiating for their points, and I think that's because the persona of the Taskmaster hasn't sort of been established and set yet. Greg hasn't really laid down the law yet in the pilot. I'm curious to see how quickly that will establish itself. But I'm like genuinely surprised at, this is the pilot. And yet there's two sort of iconic tasks, and all of this stuff is really memorable. Well, it still blows me away though, like that final task in the stage, which is an actual stage, an actual theater, as opposed to a built set that they now use. But they were using a theater for Series 1. I think it was just that first series. But anyway, that final task on the stage, open the tent, get in the tent, get in your onesie, get out of the tent, felt like two contestants didn't want to do it at all. Felt like Romesh and Roisin, neither of them were interested in actually participating. And that surprises me, because Romesh was in the lead going into that final task. And he ended up buggering it up completely and coming last because he didn't even want to get into the tent. And I'm like, just not taking it seriously or something. Yeah, Roisin in particular just rubs me the wrong way, because the way she finished that final task kind of epitomizes her for me. You know, she comes out, she's got the onesie up to her knees. That's as far as she's wearing it. And she just goes, yeah, that's as much as you're going to get from me. And that just kind of epitomizes her attitude for the show. And now, granted, I haven't seen a ton of her on other things since, but I have seen her in other things. She's funny, but I don't feel like that's an established part of her bit or anything. I just feel like she's not taking the show seriously. And maybe that's the detriment of Series 1. The tone hasn't been established yet. Alex isn't the full-blown Alex that we know and love yet. Greg hasn't fully established the Taskmaster persona yet. It's still defining itself. And the contestants don't know what to expect. And yeah, a couple of them are kind of misstepping in these early days. But maybe that's just me being overly harsh. I don't know. It is a different experience for me rewatching this. Like, I like knowing the competitors now. Like, I remember watching that Melon task, but I didn't know who any of these people were. They might as well have been 5 funny random strangers. And now I've seen more of them. I would say I know Josh and Romesh the most from other content, but I've seen all of them in various things. And so, yeah, it makes me wish I had discovered Taskmaster after I started the channel, basically. And maybe started reacting to Taskmaster once I had already laid a bit of a foundation in British comedy. Alas, this is the real world. This is the order I've tackled it. I'm excited to jump into this. I hope you guys are into these rewatches with me. And I would love to hear your thoughts, because, like I said at the beginning, this is an experiment. I don't know whether this is something that I'm going to continue for all the series. I don't know what the experience is like for you watching me react to something I've already seen, whether this will continue to interest you, or, I mean, the completist in me feels the urge to do this. But if you guys aren't into it, if this doesn't draw the numbers, if If you'd rather see me reacting strictly to new Taskmaster material, which there is a fair bit of, then we'll go in that direction. So yeah, this is a 6-episode experiment, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing what you guys think about it. That being said, you guys are seeing this at middle of February. Taskmaster Australia started a couple of weeks ago. I will be rolling into those reactions as soon as we finish these. So keep an eye out for those. Those will be out in 6 weeks. And of course, we'll be jumping into Series 15 as soon as that's live. So we may end up doubling up some weeks. I don't think Series 15 has announced a date yet, at least when I'm recording this. But 15 we'll be doing live. Australia Season 1 we'll be doing as soon as we're done this. And after that, we will do New Zealand Season 1. That came second in my poll. And we may, depending on the success of this, we may also continue to rewatch our way through the original Taskmaster. So, all of that's a long way of saying there's a ton of Taskmaster still to come here on Neil Talks. Love to hear your thoughts and comments. And until next time, everybody, take care, stay healthy. We'll see you soon. Cheers.